You're listening to SM Media, the #1 place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Scottish Football Show right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always. Shankers is with me as always. Shankers, how are we doing?
I am good, Scott. How are you?
Not bad, mate. Thanks for joining me. Delighted to welcome Rory Loy as well. First appearance in SM Media. How are we? Thanks for joining us.
All good. Looking forward to it. Can't complain.
How glad are you to be part of the podcast?
I'm delighted. It's something which interests me, to be fair, chatting about the weekly results and all the current affairs, so I'm looking forward to getting my teeth into it.
Brilliant. And we've continued to run a Glenafton guest as well. We've managed to get Cameron Marlow to join us this week. Cam, it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be on. Yeah.
Brilliant. Are you out to outdo your teammates for last week?
Maybe one of them easily, but I look forward to it.
What was your thoughts on it? Did you watch it?
Aye, it was good. Aye. Causes some good stories, so he does. Chessy's just Chessy, isn't he?
Brilliant. But we'll get into the results over the weekend. We'll start off with the results on Saturday. Aberdeen and St Mirren, a goalless draw. Dundee United 3-0 winners over Livingston. Hamilton, a big result, going to Motherwell winning 4-1. Rangers 1, Kilmarnock 0, and today we saw St Johnstone 1, Celtic 2. We'll start off at Ibrox, Rory, with the Rangers 1, Kilmarnock 0. What was your thoughts on the game and how big a win was that for Rangers?
It was huge. I think on the back of a little wobble last week, it wasn't just the result. I think it was the performance, which was a wee bit worrying last week. So I think any form of win, especially getting into Thursday night, was needed. Getting Davis and Jack back in the team was a good starting point, I think. And Jack's moment of brilliance, I don't think anyone expects that from him. You know, he's a quality player, and he can see a pass. And any finish he's had since he's been at Rangers I think he's been with the side foot, but he's put his laces through that one, and what a finish!
Definitely. Shankers, did you think Rangers would bounce back the way they did after the performances last Sunday?
I think a home game and against a side who would struggle recently probably was in their favour, and I think it took a moment of brilliance, a moment of quality to actually separate the teams, because there wasn't too much in it, to be honest. Rangers had a lot of possession, but not really a lot of clear-cut chances, and Marlow just come in and they kind of sat in. I think like most teams come to Ibrox and do, they sit in and hope they can maybe catch one in the break, because if you come to Ibrox and open up, you're going to get 3 and 4 goals took off you, so can't really complain with the result. Probably fair enough result in the end up.
Definitely. Carriage, I think that's the league.
I got to agree with
won the league.
Yeah. Sorry, was that sorry?
I think that was a game that's won the league.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see in the next couple of weeks, but I hope so. Like I said, Jack's finish, his first touch is unbelievable, and I think it's a massive bounce back from obviously the week before. But no, getting them key players back in as well to move the ball. It was massive for Rangers yesterday, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. Rory, see, like, obviously you played with Davis when you were at Ibrox, but who kind of stands out to you in that Rangers team as well, other than Davis? Because I thought Davis was brilliant yesterday. I thought there was a few really good players like Atton as well. Who did you think was kind of stands out for you in that Rangers team?
I mean, there's a number of players which stand out. Davis is top class. You know, he's played a number of games in the Premier League. He's calmness on the ball. He turns over possession so well in tight situations, and you know, brings a calmness to the game. And I think that was apparent last week at Hamilton, where Rangers lost the balls in a lot of key areas. I mean, you look at Tavernier, 17 goals from right back, it's unbelievable. I think when Rangers don't play so well, he is exposed defensively. You know, I played with Tavernier down at Carlisle for a spell. He came on loan for 6 months, and you could tell his offensive ability was unbelievable. But defensively, he was lacking a little bit. I had to do most of his running going back away. Whereas these days he's really got on top of that side of his game. I think having players around him as well, he's been a shining light. He's been really, really good. And I think Barisic provides that natural balance on the other side. So I think over the course of the season, I know they've not been as prominent in the last few weeks, but the two fullbacks are an absolute standout. Barisic's quality into the box is phenomenal. So I'd probably have to say that the two fullbacks have probably been consistent right throughout the season, along with Davis, and that's built a strong foundation. And obviously Goldson in there as well. But the problem with that question is you could probably speak about 5 or 6 Rangers players all day about how good they've been. So it's a hard question to answer. But I would certainly say the 2 fullbacks and Davis have given the team a right good springboard in the offensive half of the pitch.
Definitely.
See the 2 fullback. They must be so fit for all the forward and back away concepts. It's not as if they pick and choose their runs. It's if Barisic is that side, Tav's almost in the 6-yard box at the other side for the end of the cross. It must be so fit to be able to do that week after week out.
Aye, absolutely, 100%. And I think as well, when they are cut up the pitch, when you've got Jack and Davis in there, I mean, they've still got the legs to get in and cover for them. And I think even at Hamilton last week, you know, Tav's cut up the pitch, but I think it was Jack filling in. Obviously, didn't stop the cross, but that's just an example of, you know, understanding and reading the game, Jack and Davis, I think. So I think the balance between the 3 of them or the 4 of them has been phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. Shankers, obviously Kilmarnock made a big signing over the week, bringing in Kyle Lafferty. Do you think he will be the answer for what the Kilmarnock need?
I think they just needed something different just to freshen it up a wee bit. I think one thing that Kyle Lafferty brings wherever he's went is goals, and that's something that they're really lacking at the moment. So I think it'll obviously, with his experience and goals, it'll just be enough to keep them safe. I think they've got better quality than other teams run about them, like Ross County and Hamilton. I think Kilmarnock have got better quality and experience all over the pitch to kind of see them safe enough in the league. I think it's kind of between Ross County and Hamilton who's going to go down.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move on to the other games on Saturday as well. Motherwell 1, Hamilton 4. Cammy, did you see that result coming?
No. Well, to be fair, actually, after the game against Rangers, they were the ones that obviously looked up for it against Rangers. So not surprised too much, but the 4 goals I was surprised with. And you're struggling of late, but the yesterday result was obviously a massive for them, and who knows what they can do. Maybe they can kick on and get up to that table, but I don't know, maybe it's too late. But no, it was a solid, good performance from them, and they seem to be up for it now.
Yeah, definitely. Rory, did you think the Motherwell red changed the game? Like, do you think it would have been a different result if O'Donnell had stayed on?
Mark Cooper was doing by 20 past 3 for it that was. I took Motherwell. I fancied Motherwell. I think they've come on quite strong since Alexander's took over. I was a fan of Robinson as well, but in terms of the red, I think the 2 goals after the red, I think there's a mentality thing when you go down to 10 men. There's also almost a siege mentality, but they lost 2 goals so soon after the red that it just meant that the game was gone. So I would have to say, the red card followed by the next goal made a huge difference. I think there's always a chance when you're down to 10 men and conceding 2 more goals. I think it's difficult. And see, to be fair, watching Hamilton against Rangers, they could have took 4 off Rangers.
Yeah.
So I think we were all surprised by the result, but you know, if they've taken that performance against Rangers into Motherwell, then they're capable of scoring 4 goals against anybody. But obviously they need to show that more often, because you wouldn't put Hamilton down to score 4 goals every week.
No, definitely not. Shankers, what was your thoughts on the result? Big result, big surprising result.
It's always a surprise, but are we really surprised Hamilton are starting to rack up decent results at this time of the season, where every year it seems to be they get the results to almost keep them safe? So I'm no surprised that they beat Motherwell, but I'm obviously surprised 4 goals away from home. I know there's a sender off. I don't think it's any coincidence Motherwell's not doing well recently when Declan Gallagher's at their team. I think they're a better team defensively when he's there. He's a kind of no-nonsense defender. Loves to header it, not too fancy or anything like that. So I think it's no coincidence Motherwell struggling with him at their team.
Yeah, definitely. As well as that, Dundee United, big result for them, 3-0 win against Livingston. Lawrence Shankland got the 2 goals. How impressed have you been with Lawrence Shankland since he's come up to the SPL?
Aye, he's really taken his form from League One and the Championship right into the Premier League. I'm sure it would have been in the back of his head that everyone was asking the question if he was capable or not. I also think that having that little spell with the international team and knocking up a couple of goals would have really, built his confidence up. He had a sticky start, but he's finished a couple of weeks ago from the halfway line. Just shows the quality the boy's got. And he's a focal point for that team. And any time I've seen Dundee United this season, even earlier in the season when he wasn't scoring goals, he was a massive part of their performances. The fact of the matter is, you're not going to get as many chances in the Premier League, but he's starting to really take his chances now. And like I said, his game intelligence is second to none at that level, I think. And he's really got his shooting boots on at the moment, which is, his full games come to fruition, and he's shown what he's got.
Yeah, Shankers, what do you think about Livingston? The part of a couple of bad results, obviously for their great run of form. Like, what do you think's going on there before it's not really the best run to begin into before a cup final?
That's what I was going to say. It's probably kind of worst time. Obviously, you can know that you've seen it coming, but you're like, surely they can't just keep winning. You were almost going to see somebody. They were probably the other Old Firm, the team that everybody wanted to beat because they want to knock them off the run. But it's a poor time of the season to start losing games because you don't want to get into the habit of that coming up to a cup final. Obviously, it's a cup final can almost take care of itself. It's a one-off game, but we're concerned with 2 defeats leading up to the weeks towards the final.
Definitely. We'll move on to Aberdeen now, St Mirren now. Cammy, what was your thoughts on that game? Were you surprised at that result?
Aberdeen obviously they've not been doing great. So you can kind of see, not surprised with the draw, but I just think that there's something needs to be maybe changed at Aberdeen, or I don't know if it's time for them to move on. I don't know what the answer is for them, but it just seems to be getting poor result after poor result. And St Mirren are ones were up and down, but it was kind of like a nothing game on it. Kind of cancel each other out, and I think he's in severe pressure now after that draw anyway.
Yeah. Rory, do you think bringing in the likes of Fraser Hornby and Florian Kimberry can I get Aberdeen going, or do you think there is maybe time for a change with McInnes and things like that? What's your kind of thoughts in that situation?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that bringing in these guys really helps McInnes, because I do believe that every manager's got a shelf life, but I do feel for McInnes, and every single summer he seems to have a rebuilding job in his hands. He loses key players in key areas, and year in, year out, he seems to produce and finish, whether it be second when Rangers weren't in the league or third now that Rangers are in the league, and they're still batting for third at the moment. I think it's a matter of expectations. What are Aberdeen's expectations? And I know he's only delivered one trophy in 8 years, but he get beaten several cup finals off a Brendan Rodgers Celtic team, so you've got to cut the guy a bit of slack. And I think it's a little bit of, you don't know what you've got till it's gone with McInnes. So to answer your question, I hope the likes of Hornby can come in and make a real difference, because it's no easy, I can't imagine, as a manager to lose your key players every single year to replace them and still get results. Mm-hmm. So, and I think as well, the likes of St Mirren's and Livingston, for a spell there was a clear top and bottom six in Scotland, and I think it shows the strength of the league when you look at your Livingstons and St Mirren's. They're 9 mugs, these guys, and they're a good team, and they're capable of going up to Pittodrie and getting points. So I think it just shows the strength of the league, and that every game is a tough game. But I really hope it works out for McGuinness. I would be in the camp of giving him more time and giving these guys an opportunity to prosper, because he's brought in guys that have done it before, and I believe he would do it again.
Mm-hmm. And Jenkins, your old club St Mirren, can make top six?
I don't see why not. I know they've got a couple of games in hand, and I don't know Jim Goodwin too well, but what I do know of him is he's a warrior, and he builds teams that are, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but hard to beat. And when you've got that foundation, it just goes to show yesterday, if you don't concede goals, you're guaranteed a point at least. I know the Celtic took 4 off them the other night, but I do believe they can, and it's a great club, St Mirren, really good fan base, and I love my time there. So, if it was between them and the likes of Livingstons, I'd be pulling on St Mirren to do it.
Yeah, definitely. We obviously lost Ross County and Hibs to a frozen patch. We'll move on to the game today. St Johnstone 1, Celtic 2, and me and Shankers were speaking to our mutual friend Mark Wilson about the team line-up, and we were stunned. I was stunned anyway at the fact that, what was your thoughts on the line-up where Ajeti been dropped? I was astonished that he was dropped after the case they pleaded during the week to that Ajeti needed game time and they don't play on the day. Doesn't make sense to me. What was your thoughts on it, Shankers?
It's obviously surprising that he's not played, but he's not really featured a lot this season. His performance against Kilmarnock and St Mirren was obviously encouraging, but it's hard at Celtic having really got a settled team. I don't think Lennon knows his best 11. I'm not surprised that they won, because the last 2 games are kind of looking to. I think is this the 4th one in a row?
Yeah.
So 4th one in a row. So they're starting to build a wee bit of momentum, but the thing is that they're still conceding goals. That's the only thing that I'd be worried about if I was them.
kind of sums Lennon up as well, I would say. I mean, see, this season, I would have been surprised as well if it wasn't for 7 weeks ago, Lennon coming out publicly and saying Varkas was his number one. 2 weeks later, the guy conceded 1 goal that wasn't, 2 goals that weren't his fault, and all of a sudden Bain's back in the team. So I don't think anything surprises you with the decision making at the moment at Parkhead.
See, during the week, obviously, Lennon came out saying in his press conference that he thinks he's beginning to kind of look at the summer rebuilding job. Like, Rory, what do you think the reaction would be with the Celtic fans if they were told that Neil Lennon was going to be there next season?
I think it's went beyond savable for Lennon. I think it hits a point where I don't know if it matters how many results he gets between now and the end of the season, but I know Celtic have come out a few times and says there's going to be an announcement in the start of January, then the end of January. I know that a lot of Celtic fans are still waiting on this announcement or what's going to happen. I know that Peter Lawwell stepping down it's news, but it's not really the news they want to hear. But I don't know if there's a little bit of an acceptance that the league's gone and they want to get it right, so they don't want to rush into anything. And they also don't want to come out and say Lennon's not going to be there next year. How's that going to impact the squad between now and the end of the season? It smells to me like a bit of acceptance that the league's gone. They'll see it through to the end of the season. Anthony gets a bonus and they'll look at it from there.
Because see if you're Dominic Mackay and Dominic Mackay's first decision is that he keeps Neil Lennon, surely that he loses that fan base straight away if he does that, surely. That's what
I'm thinking. See if you're outside looking in, if you're him, you're like that. For me to get off to the best possible start, I need to get rid of this manager and bring in a kind of name that the fans are going to want and get people through the door. For the outside looking in, surely that's what he's saying. If he keeps Lennon next year, he's probably got off to the worst possible start with the fans. You know what I mean? They need to try and kind of build that bridge with the fans back again. And I think if Lennon's still there next season, I think that's probably got off to the worst possible start.
Cammy, do you think as well that potentially that the Celtic board have gambled on Rangers having a blip, which is the reason maybe Lennon's still there? Because that kind of went through my head not that long ago, and now I've kind of heard that from a couple of Celtic.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't think they really know what they're doing themselves. To be honest, as far as it is, it's been a shambles for them all season. It seems that every decision they've made has always been the wrong one. I mean, the fans have been asking Lennon to go for months now, haven't they? So, I mean, the fans have been kept in the dark from the board of what's actually going on in and around Celtic a lot of the time as well. So, I don't know. I mean, I think they always say they're going to crumble at Christmas, don't they? And then, like I say, it didn't happen this year. Rangers bounced back strong. So, I think it's something. It's more of like an excuse that they've got of what will be Rangers do if they can fall, if they can lose points, which personally I can't see happening. Then dropping much points, but I don't know. I think we've got to get rid of him anyway. We've got to get rid of Lennon and bring someone new in, like Shankar said, and get the fans back on board and get the club back to where it was. But again, it's going to be a rebuild as well. So yeah, I just think they're keeping a lot of the fans in the dark, and I think they just need to maybe kind of explain their decisions or at least tell them something's happening.
Yeah. Rory, how good was Edouard's performance today, did you think?
It was outstanding, to be fair. I mean, the first half was non-existent in terms of either side. I know Rogic had one cleared off the line, but I don't think the pitch helped today, Scott. It was you could see a few times it bouncing off players with real quality, and I don't think that was really their fault. But seeing days like this is where the top class players come into their own. The finish for the first one was unbelievable, and then the composure to take it round the keeper for the second one and slot it away. At the end of the day, he was the difference, and I think that's Celtic's problem, and it has been for throughout the season, is they're relying on Edouard. And there's years gone by, Rangers relied on Morelos. It doesn't work over the course of a season. You can't rely on one person, whereas Rangers have got 11 players they can rely on now, and I include the keeper in that. It's probably got them 12, 13 points. So Edouard is the difference. The issue they've got is if he's not available or if he's not on form, I'm looking around going, Christie can get you a goal. McGregor can, get you the odd goal. But who have they really got that's going to contribute? Griffiths isn't fit. So in terms of today, that just shows you how good Edouard is. He's taken a game by the scruff of the neck, and he scored 2 goals from arguably nowhere, especially the first one. It's a ball into the box with a great finish. So I think over the piece, it's by far and away obvious that Celtic are relying really heavily on Edward, and today he was the difference, and he's been the difference a lot for Celtic. He's top draw.
Yeah, I think he will. Think he'll be there next season.
No,
I
don't think so. I don't think, well, especially with the way, like, I'm not saying he was absolutely outstanding the whole game, but a game where there's nothing in it, you need a bit of quality to win you the game, and he's done that, and that obviously helps his own case. He could be looking at it from a personal point of view, going to get as much goals, play as well as I can, and see who I can go to in the summer, because I don't think he'll be short of offers, put it that way. And a better team, a player like him will train even more.
Rory, see when the atmosphere's bad at a club like Rangers and Celtic, what's it like behind the scenes? Obviously, that's what I'm kind of keen to know. Like, what do you think the atmosphere is like behind the scenes at Celtic with the players just now?
It's a difficult one, because I think, my experience of being in a dressing room which isn't doing so well, it's hard to put your finger on it. And I know, again, it's a bit of a cliche, but when you're having this type of season, even when you're doing well, things aren't going for you. Look at the performance at Ibrox, and you look at that, and the Celtic board are probably thinking at that point, we were by far and away the better team there, but we still get beat. And I think that game on the second just summed up their season. To be honest, they were by far and away the best team, and they still got beat. And the manner of the goal was disgusting. To be honest, it was a horrible goal to concede. And I think when it snowballs and it gets to a point, for me, looking at Celtic, it reached a level and a peak where the fans weren't happy. The players clearly weren't happy, and everybody. And I think they've moved past that now, and it's just a little bit of an acceptance of where they are. But it can be difficult to manage a dressing room when it's like that. And you'll never know what's going on behind the scenes. I was part of a Falkirk squad who were tipped to win the league, and we were terrible. So many players were off form. So many good players that have played, at a high level in that league for a long, long time. And you can't always just put your finger in it, but the camaraderie and the relationships and the atmosphere within the changing room was great. It was on point, but just on a Saturday, it just wasn't happening. So whether something's going on behind the scenes or that, I'm not quite sure. But certainly my spell at Rangers when I was there, when they got to a European Cup final, they won several leagues. There wasn't really a time where I can put my finger on it and say that, the Le Guin era, right enough. I think that was well documented, where Ferguson had fallen out with Le Guin and all the rest of it, and it just doesn't breed good feeling. And you get half the squad going with one player and half the squad going with the manager, and that can be difficult. But what's actually went on behind the scenes at Celtic this year, I don't know if we'll actually ever know.
See when you're saying about what's going on behind the scenes, I see a lot of folks saying maybe Celtic were a turned a corner or won, see games that's maybe drawn in the last 10 minutes. Maybe if the fans were there, they would have pushed them on. But you got to look at that, and the flip side is it could have been vile inside Parkhead if Celtic were playing like this, the way they're playing now. It could have went the complete opposite way, and they could have turned. I think they're a wee bit lucky that they're playing in front of no fans now, and the fans are having to kind of voice their opinion for the outside. Because if they were inside that stadium voicing their opinion, I don't think Neil Lennon would still be a Celtic manager.
I think it would crumble under that pressure as well. The fans, I think they would turn up and they're selling out stadiums and that if they're in position in now.
There's that as well. They maybe want to voice their opinion. They're quite loyal, Rangers Celtic fans in that way, but they're also, you could win 2 games and you're a hero, and then you lose 1 game and you're the worst team ever. That's how it is. The old firm teams are just, as the boys have said, you can't point your finger on what has gone wrong at Celtic. I don't think MD will ever kind of really know unless somebody comes out and speaks about it, but I don't think that will happen.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move on to our special guest, Rory and Cammy. I just want to start, Rory, obviously we've done the interview last week. It was a great pleasure to talk to you about your career, but one thing I never touched on is you've obviously got a good relationship with our regular Mark Wilson, and I never ever asked you for a good Wilson story. We got any?
See, to be honest, it's hard to pinpoint one particular story. The guy is just a constant wind-up merchant. And when I stayed, obviously, I get took in by his mum and dad as a youngster, starting at my career at 16. And he used to terrorise me. Obviously, I'm a wee bit older now. I've got a wee bit more about me, so I'm looking forward to having a few ding-dongs on here with him. But he just used to terrorise. He's a constant wind-up merchant. You'd be sitting there and, he wouldn't think twice about, winding up his mum like you would wind up a boy in the dressing room and winding up his dad and winding up myself, and I was just a young kid there, and I just took it. But even in the dressing room, but it's guys like that keep dressing rooms going, and the bit of banter and a bit of camaraderie. But one specific story, I think there's plenty. But what I would say is that he's just a constant wind-up merchant, whether that be his family, whether that be the boys or whatever else. But he's just non-stop.
There's some things that he says on here, and I'm waiting on him to like laugh as if he's Ken, but it's a classic of that. But no, staying faced, and you don't know whether he's just saying it for a reaction or whether it's his genuine belief about football. And I'm just, even in the WhatsApp, see some of the things he says. I'm sitting thinking, I don't know if that's his actual opinion on this game or if this player or no.
He will take it to extremes to get bites out of people.
That's literally the best way to describe him.
Cammy, what was your early years of football? Obviously, you started out at United, but what was your kind of memories when you were coming through here?
I know, obviously Shankers there as well. It was good. I loved it. I was here. I started there when I was 11. So we had loads of good seasons. I think we went. I don't know if you were in that Shankers, our team. Went unbeaten. We went unbeaten in one of our leagues. So we did, and then that was the first time we walked around Somerset at half time in front of fans, and that was kind of the first time I'd probably been walking around the stadium with fans like in the stadium, and it was great. And ever since then, I just kicked on. And my experience was really good. I enjoyed every minute of it. It was just getting up to the first team as well, training with them. It was good, getting in an early age and making my debut at St Mirren. That pre-season friendly was just brilliant. Like I say, it was just something you don't forget when you're a youngster. And obviously after that, I just went out to LA. That was it.
How did that come about?
So I had a contact in LA. Obviously, I was born in LA, so most of my family still live there. I live in LA now, so I had a contact that was in Galaxy, and they knew I'd play football. Every year I'd go back to LA and I'd play with teams there just over the summer to keep ticking over, and he'd see me play a few times and he just thought it was good, and I was come back over and he asked me if I'd go along and train and whatnot. So I went along and trained for about a week, and then they just signed me there and then, and I just stayed there. It's quite a weird one, to be fair, but I don't regret going there at all. The experience was unbelievable. Being around the facilities and the training and some of the
who were the players? Who were the players at the time when you were there?
Beckham was there, Donovan was there, Keane was there. That's probably the biggest ones, the big name ones that were there.
Did you shout at Bex when he gave the ball away in training?
He hardly trained, to be fair. So he'd do like the morning session, that'd be done. But no, he was a lovely guy. He would go out your way and come and speak to you. And same with Keane. Keane used to come because I was only 17, turned 18 at the time, so I was playing with they called it under 18s then. So I was under 18s and straight into the first team. But he used to come down and watch our games all the time. So he would, on their days off, he'd just come down and sit and watch our games. He'd chat away to you and that. So they were really good, to be fair. Even around the gym and that, they'd always say hi. They would just walk past you and not say anything. So they're always good. Donovan, on the other hand, I didn't really like him, to be fair. He was a bit of a, I'm not going to say. But.
How's the difference between, like, say, when I was growing up playing in the air youth to like a youth team in America? What's the difference?
So their system there though is when I was there, it's different. So like for us, you'd go straight up to like reserves first team, but for there, it's changed again. But they used to all go out to college and university. So like under 18s expected is rare for you to go straight into the first team. So most of them we go out to UCLA, and don't get me wrong, going out there, it's like that's just been like a full-time club, to be fair. Their facilities are unbelievable. They play in front of like 60,000 fans in that UCLA and big university. So it is like obviously being professional, and then they draft you back into the team. So for me then it was like, I go out to a uni and study and do my 4 years and hopefully get drafted and go back to Galaxy or go to the other, but I just didn't. I came back to Scotland. I missed home, so I came back here. But no, it was
What was it like? What was the kind of focus over there? Obviously in Scotland, it's blood, sweat and tears, and it's a tough environment to grow up in, and it's a tough environment to play in. Was the focus over there more tactically, or were you expected to get stuck in? Or
I know it's when I went over, I was quite loud. Well, when I'm playing, I'm quite loud. So when I went over and I was when they first seen me, they hardly speak. So I'm sitting shouting the ball and like going through players, tackling players hard and that. And just like, what's he doing, man? Like they're not used to it. They're quite shy. Like not shy, but they're
reserved.
Aye, and they are more tactically. So it's more like positional sense where it's like they know when to press, they know when to not press. Whereas in here, sometimes leagues are like just go press her. Actually, they were really good. Some of the players I played with, don't get me wrong, were unbelievable. One of them just signed for Swansea, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if you heard him.
Yeah.
I played with him at Galaxy.
That's a midfield, aye.
He's in the national team. I mean, some of the players were unbelievable. I hadn't expected it. I thought it wouldn't be that big a jump. But when I got there and you seen the players and just technically, the technical ability was unbelievable. They weren't as physical, but some of their technical ability, they do some things and I'm like, how are they able to do that? And some of their finishes are just incredible. But I know that they're more, like I say, more reserved and they kind of baby younger, if that makes sense. See, when we were 18, 16, 17 at Ayr, I mean, the first team players had to go through you if you're trained. Over there, it was more just kind of like, it wasn't really, I don't know how to explain it. It was just kind of like,
more relaxed.
It's like baby, just relax and just like, they take you under your wing and like comfort you in that rather than I'd be like, I want something, a kick up the arse or something like that to make me really kind of, you're putting your shoulder over you and kind of comforting you in that. And it was just really different, to be fair.
I think they don't get much recognition for as good a standard as it actually is.
100%, mate, 100%.
You're looking at it from over here, a lot of folk kind of maybe don't look at it as good a levels, but it is. You only really kind of maybe watch American games because there's a Wayne Rooney or a Steven Gerrard or somebody like that, whereas there's obviously really good players that are American nationals.
No, they are. Like I say, I underestimated it a lot. I went in thinking this will be just kind of like the same standard, but it was way above, man. It took me a bit of month to try and even catch up to their speed. I mean, they're all flying as well. I mean, they're in full time anyway, so I mean, even the gym sessions in the morning, you get absolutely beast it, and then they go on, you train at night, and just the way they zip the ball about and the movement and their awareness as well, it's brilliant. I mean, I played with good standard people. They're all playing a lot of high levels now. I played with.
I played with a boy, Nick Ross, at Dundee, and he was at Inverness for a spell, and technically speaking, he was outstanding. So good on the ball. He was similar to Stevie Davis the way he played. Obviously, then he played to the same level, and he's playing out in the league below the MLS with El Paso in Texas. So he's playing in the league below, and technically he is outstanding. So if he's playing at that level and it's the level below it, it must be a good standard.
I think it's came on a lot the last maybe 5 years. When I was there, you could see it starting to getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and the players they were getting in were obviously bigger and better. But I think just naturally, I mean, some of the Mexican players I played with, like you couldn't get the ball off them. They're just unbelievable. But I know they're definitely underestimated over there, I think, anyway, from my experience.
Mm-hmm. And you move on to Glenafton. How big a culture shock was that from the glamour of LA to Newcombe?
My first game at Glenafton, we lost 5-0 to Lugar.
Did you?
We did, aye. I played centre half.
Were you looking at flights that night?
Honestly, I was at St Johnson before it, so I was up there. And then it fell. Long story short, it fell through. And first call I went to, big Stu phones me because I know Stu at Ayr. Obviously, used to take our running sessions at Ayr. So he phones me. He goes, "Just come down and play a bounce game. We'll play a game and see how you feel." So I turn up at Lugar, and Tommy Bryce, the manager, is like, "Right, he names a team and he names me a centre back." I'm going, "Right, okay, I'll just go along with it." So I'm obviously obviously I play centre mid, so I was putting a centre back and I'm trying to run out with the ball, man. Like I'm just trying. As soon as I get the ball, I try and run forward. I'm leaving gaps and that. And it's a disaster, man. 5-0 Luger. Z was playing centre mid and I was playing centre back. Mate. I don't know what I'd done that day, but I ended up staying. We beat you a week after, I think. I'm sure we did. So we beat Talbot the week after.
And what were your favourite memories at Glenafton? Obviously winning the cup was good, but what kind of the memories that stick out to you?
It's got to be, obviously, I think it's the best winning the Scottish Cup. Scoring in it as well, the first goal, see when you first scored, I thought, here we go.
That's what I would say. I said to them last week, I said, see when we score the first goal against anybody, 9 times out of 10 we win the game, and that's the way I've seen that. They were saying, I don't know if you remember, when Pee-wee missed a header to make it 2-0, that was a great chance, and see when that didn't go in, I always thought you could creep into it. I think you scored maybe just before half time.
Just before
it. Can I see the game swinging?
Because the first goal was partly my fault. Me and my girl ran into each other, and then obviously it's a good finish, but not. When we went at half time, it was weird, man, because you could kind of feel it around. All of us are kind of like 1-0 down going at half time. Then as soon as I scored, it just felt different going in that changing room at half time. We're like, we can do this. But Canzo's finish. Yeah, we were training the Friday night at Rugby Park. We done a shooting drill. Canzo was in it, missed every single shot. Honestly, he didn't score one, I don't think. And then he pulls it out. I don't know how. Still today.
I was saying if you beat our goalie for there, you deserve to win a cup final like that.
No, it's incredible finish. But what a couple of days that was down there coming after. Glad ourselves down there anyway.
See, obviously as well. Obviously after that, you left Glenafton after COVID and joined Maybole. Like, were you kind of sad to leave Glenafton that way?
Well, it was a shock, to be fair. We played Troon this Saturday, and Sunday night, not out of the blue, he texted us saying we were withdrawn from the league, and we're like, what do you mean? And we were withdrawn from the league, and we were like, didn't even get consolidated or spoke to or asked, will you play for free or whatever. But end of the day, you've got to understand the club's financial situations and everything there. So there's not too much. I mean, I guess it was a shock, but again, it wasn't a shock, if that kind of makes sense. I think it was the right thing for the club to survive as well. So you kind of got to your hats off. But again, Maybole took me in, which I was grateful, so I could still at least do something. But I've enjoyed my time at Maybole so far. I got on with Carlo and the boys, and they welcomed me in, apart from Dingus, who's obviously a come up. But that's why I get off him as well. But I've been grateful to be there. So I mean, it's a different standard. But
see, when we kind of had an inkling that we were going to, well, there was going to be a vote the clubs had to decide when they were going to. We all kind of had a vote, like as the players, and we kind of had to send the manager again what our thoughts were. But I don't think that was the overall decision. So you never even got.
Honestly, nothing. Out of the blue, we get a text message saying withdrawn from the league. I think they tried to do. I think Tarzans tried to obviously get us in the league as much as possible. At the end of the day, it's not to just them. So I think the overall vote was from them. We're withdrawn, and no, we never get asked anything. Just get told that's it, basically. Well, so
see, the clubs now probably are looking at it as if, well, it's the right decision, because it doesn't look as if the league's going to start anytime soon. With things the way stuff's going now, or if it does start, it's going to be hard to try and finish it anyway.
No, I don't see it starting, to be fair. I really don't. There's not. It's just the facilities and that. It's not possible. I mean, we are before Christmas. You're changing in a stand, no showers, no nothing, and it's 1 degree and that, and you're before freezing, and you're coming off soaking, you're straight in a car. It's not good for you, to be fair. So you can. I don't think it'll start back. I mean, if you get the facilities, obviously, like.
You've been in your training gear for 3 weeks waiting on the phone call.
What?
I said, have you been in your training gear for the last 3 weeks waiting on that phone call?
I've been working today, yes. I've been working all day, that's me.
I hear you, mate. I hear you.
Aye, men's must, but I don't think personally. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good training. I get see the mental side of it. I don't know if you know as well around not playing, but even just training, being around folk and kicking that ball about, it's unbelievable the difference it makes you feel. But I can't see it's going back.
Definitely. What's your kind of plans for the future after the kind of hopefully the season starts up again? Are you planning to stay at Maybole? Was there any other offers?
Well, Mick's obviously been announced as the new Glenafton manager, so congratulations to him. Mick's a good mate, I mean, to be fair. Travelled, I mean, we travelled together for years. He coaches with us as well. He's one of the directors of the company, so I speak to him every day basically. But I don't know, we'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm a Maybole player, so as it stands, I'm at Maybole, and when the chats happen, we'll obviously chat and see what the options are. But don't get me wrong, Glenafton has been really good to me, so anything to help Glenafton, obviously, I will as well. But again, that'll be, we'll see what happens anyway in the future, and hopefully just keep still playing. We get a ball kicked about soon.
Rory, just as well, I just want to ask you as well, did you ever get any offers to go junior?
Yes. You're asking me on the spot now. I can't remember the name of the club. It was about a year after I kind of decided I was stepping away from playing, and I can find that out for you. I'll try and find the message, but I can't quite remember the name of the club. It might have been around that part of the world, actually. It might have been Glenafton. That rings a bell, actually. It might have been Glenafton. I'll try and find a message and I'll confirm that for sure. But I had the chance to go to Ireland. I mean, when I decided to step away from it, I did have a couple of offers, but eventually I just decided I wasn't in the right headspace for it anymore. And as I walked away, I started doing something else, which I'm quite passionate about now. So, it was just a bit of a tough time all around. But when I did step away, I had a few offers at the time, and then a year later, it was. I had an offer from a couple of clubs, and I'm sure Glenafton was one of them, but don't quote me on it. Or Glenavon, is that right?
Glenavon, they're in Ireland.
Right, okay. Might have been Ireland then, I'm not quite sure. It was Glen something, but I'll find out for you.
Just as well, Shankers, I know you're the quick fire question man lately. You get questions for the boys?
I've only got a few. You put me on the spot 2 minutes before we were starting, so I forgot. Well, this is normally Wilson's forte, so if you could, in your team, if you could pick Messi or Ronaldo to play alongside, which one would you pick?
I'll let you go first. Just me?
No, both
you and Rory.
Rory, I'll let you go first.
Messi for me. I mean, you can't deny. I just feel like Messi's natural, whereas Ronaldo's kind of man-made. Don't get me wrong, he's got the ability, but I think I was about to say the way I used to play, as if like I played in any way, shape, or form like Messi. But Messi for me. I'd pay a lot of money to watch him. Whereas Ronaldo's unbelievable, of course he is, and that's difficult to separate them. But if I had to build a dream team around any of them and be part of that team, I would go with Messi.
I'm going to have to agree with it. I think he's an all-round as well. Like, I think he does more during a game. Ronaldo's more a pop up and win. Wherever he needs to. Obviously, he wins games for anyway, but I think Messi's all-round. Obviously, his ability's fighting in it, so I'm going to have to go Messi. And off his left-footed as well, myself, so I'm going to go take Messi.
Win the league or win the Scottish Cup?
I've been so close to doing both that and it was just as hard to stomach both of them. In my first season at Falkirk, we finished 3 points off top spot, and we still had half a chance going up in the last day of the season. And I've also played in a Scottish Cup final and lost the game with 5 minutes to go. So I think all things considered, I think it hurt more that the Scottish Cup day. I don't know if it was just the way it happened, but to go one each, they were down to 10 men, dominating the second half, and a couple of mistakes led to their second goal. We were devastated. So I think, drawn from personal experience, I think 90% of people would say the league. And I think in normal circumstances, I would probably say that. But if I could go back in time and win that league title or win that Scottish Cup, I would probably pick the Scottish Cup on that occasion.
I'll go Scottish Cup. I think at our level, Frank, as you know, it's that whole day and everything around it and the build-ups. And it's just a different feeling in the league. Don't get me wrong, winning the league's unbelievable. But no, winning that Scottish Cup, I mean, I've lost a Scottish Cup. Chesy's, I'm not going to say anything.
Did you play that cup final?
I played that cup final.
I didn't care you were at the Glens then.
Yeah, that was my first. That was the first game we played. That was a Luger when we beat 5-0 first game.
Was that season?
That's that season. That was a rebuild. Remember later we went to Ilford.
Yeah.
That season, first season here. But no, the losing that it's brutal, isn't it? It's absolutely horrendous.
It's the worst feeling ever.
Aye. And
what's the chances it was against Huddersfield and all in that final?
Aye.
Getting after all the players going.
It was just. I won't talk that day, but I know it's
all the stuff leading up to it as well. They arrange so many different things for after the game.
I know.
Parties, bars, your family's coming down, everybody's getting tickets. It's just the whole build up to it and the whole feel to it. It's like 3 weeks of build up to it. See, as soon as you win that semi final, it's all anybody can think about is that cup final, and there's just so much put towards it, and I think there's so much emotion in it. Whereas with a league, it's more a slow burner. Whereas as soon as you win that semi-final, we beat Hibs 1-0 at Hampden, and we were expected to lose that game. And the night out we had that night, followed by the build-up the next 3 weeks, it was crazy. And then to lose it on the day, it's horrible. You feel like you've let so many people, although you haven't, it feels that way. And you come off and you watch them walking up the steps. It's no nice.
I know. I even for the towns as well. Sorry, for our level, it's the towns, man. You'll know obviously like the flags and the buzz about the whole area, even driving through to the games leading up to it, there's flags, people out, clapping. It's just, the whole place is buzzing, and you can't. That's just special, isn't it? It's
like the way we describe it, it's like a gala day, so it's like see even at the start of the season, folk are talking about the Scottish Cup, and you're not even played the first round yet, just because they just expect you to get there.
But did you boys play under Tucker when you were at Talbot?
Aye, that's my manager, aye.
Aye, so I played for Ayr for a couple of seasons as well before I went full time at Kelly. So I moved from Ayr to Kelly. He was my gaffer for 2 years there when I was like 14.
Oh, was he?
Aye, he helped me out quite a bit. He was a great guy.
What's Tucker like as a manager? Obviously, I've not worked under him, but
he's one of the guys that you would you run for a brick wall for. He can get you up for a game. On the flip side, I've played and worked on a folk that are far more technical, like tactical. I think he's just old school. He plays for at a time where it was there was whiteboards with wee markers, stuff like that. He writes his team sheet in the back and all electricity bills, stuff like that. And he's just, but what he's done it for Talbot and for junior football can't really take away.
Is he in the change room? Sorry, is he like one of the boys? Like
no,
he's completely different.
No, really. He's
away from it.
Like you can have a laugh in that way, of course, but then it's just I don't know, it's just different. Whereas I see like what's Southie, like he played with you and then went into the manager, so you maybe see it a bit different. But I think Alan's one of them. I'm more kind of not saying closer, but I kind of talk to Alan a lot more than Tucker, if you get what I mean. Whereas like Whitey, that's Whitey's brother.
He's never able to.
Next, just off the top of your head, this is a wee bit of a long-winded question, but if you could pick a five-a-side team for players that you played with, just off the top of your head, what would your five-a-side team be?
So, played with, does it matter if you spent 3 minutes on the pitch with them? Or?
No, if you just come on to get an appearance bonus, or whether you were there for the testimonial.
Cool.
That's one in the spot, isn't it?
You have to edit this bit, Scott, because it'll be too long to wait.
So I think my when I first joined Rangers, Stefan Kloss would play in quite a lot of the reserve games, and even in training, he was just ridiculous. Like, I was young, I couldn't score by the guy. I could not score by him, even in training, even in a shooting drill for like 18 yards out. I could not score. So if we're going by players who played with, I played quite a few reserve games with him. I would stick him in the nets, and I would stick Lee Miller up front. Played with Lee at Carlisle for a season, and he was kind of in the peak of his career at that point, is what I would say, especially coming from Middlesbrough on a good level. He came in and he was unplayable for a year. So I think that would be certainly the base of my goalie, and my strike force would be Lee Miller up front.
Was he not at Falkirk at the time that you were there, no?
I was the second time, to be fair as well. I forgot about that. He was there and all, but we'll leave that for another time, the way that season went. There's quite a lot of things went on behind the scenes, shall we say, in that season, like we kind of touched on earlier. But who else? Played with Jay Fulton as well.
He's quality. I think we played, when I was at Ayr, I think we played you in a League Cup at Somerset that year that kind of went to extra time. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think there was a kind of a ginger-haired boy, maybe Shepherd or something. Was he there at that time? He scored an extra time to win 2-1.
I scored a normal time that night. He scored an extra time. And Scott, he's a good player. He's at Forfar now, just signed for Forfar. He can finish, and he's quick. But Jay,
was that him that was at Edinburgh City? No.
Aye.
Oh, was that him?
Aye. So James McDonough, who was assistant manager at Peter Houston, went to Edinburgh City. So he took quite a lot of the boys for that kind of age group that were at Falkirk. And Scott's a good player, but certainly Jay would be in the middle of the pitch for me, especially in a five-a-side park. He can knock the ball about really well. And technically, even at Falkirk at that time, he was a touch above. He would do things. He would give the ball away, try to play a pass that was a good pass, but no one else could actually see because it was that good. So he would be in there as well. I'd probably put JP McGovern in there as well because he'd kill me if I didn't. Played with him at Carlisle as well. It was Lee Miller up front. It was myself on the left wing and JP on the right wing. And I was quick at that point in my career and more running with the ball, but JP was more touch and deliver. So we had a good balance. And he's a close friend of mine, very close friend of mine. So
he went to Ayr the season I left him, I think.
Aye. He spent a year at Ayr, so that would be me looking for a defender probably, because five-a-side being a goalie and four outfielders.
Aye.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'd have Lee, myself, John Paul McGovern, Jay Fulton, and who else shall we say? Try to pick different people for different places I've played and been. Feel free to chip in with yours, Cammy, while I'm thinking.
I'll go right. I'll go because there's quite a few boys you probably don't know though. That's the thing. And over in America, I'll go with Paul Ariola. He'll probably be up there. I'll go Brian. Brian McGarry. I'll put him in.
Brian's a good goalie.
See that sees me win a treble. Unbelievable. Some saves he made and brilliant. I'll go him in nets. I'll put Mick in there just because he'll probably shout at me if I don't. Put Mick up top. What's that? One more. 1, 2, 3. Defender.
Two more. 3. You're not in the team. You're just.
Oh, I'm
a
sub.
Oh, you're a sub.
I put Gunner in there actually. Put me Gunner in there.
Aye.
Put Gunner in there. What's that? One more. 2 more. 3 more. 2 more.
One more.
I'll change my goalie because I don't know. I don't know if I've played. I hate these questions. You pick people like pure random people that you've not played enough games with. So I'll go with Mark Gillespie, who was at Motherwell. I played with him at Carlisle for a season, and he was brilliant. And somehow he nicked him out to Motherwell in Newcastle.
I don't know what that's all about.
Aye, he's a good goalie. Don't get me wrong. He's a mad Newcastle fan. Him and all his pals. No. So I'll stick him in nets. Go with Lee up front. JP, Jay, and because it's a 5-a-side pitch as well, and I'm struggling to think, I'm going all out attack, and I'll go.
You don't need runners. You don't need runners in 5-a-side.
I'll go with Sibbs. I'll go with Craig Sibbald. He's a player, man. He can play tight, technically very good. Can pop it about. Would play well with Jay. So I'll go with that. I'll go with.
I'll put Petty in there then. I think with 5-a-side, he can pass the ball with.
Aye.
Jay's Ashford can, doesn't that? I'll put Petty.
You can't really header in 5-a-side, so Jay can't really make it.
I'll fire Petty in there. There we go. That's my 5-a-side.
Brilliant.
Just get last one for Cammy. LA or back home here?
What, to live?
Aye.
Oh, home, mate. Home all the time. Home. Mate, my best mate in, I say best mate, my only mate in America, he was Russian, so...
Oh, you're going to say your only mate there?
He was my only mate with me. I honestly don't know over there at all, man. I think on the floor over there, the patter is just horrendous. You don't understand. Like, I'm having a joke or that. You'll take me too seriously, and I just don't go on with the people over there, to be honest.
If you're slaughtering somebody's gear and they're just looking at you.
I know. So that boy Danny, he was the first one I kind of met, and I spoke to him, but then he started trying to copy like our Scottish and that. He tried to start speaking like slang Scottish, and it just started. I was like, I'm fed up with this, man. I'm going home. So I'll take home. I'll take you.
See how you've got your coaching academy. That would you ever want to like go into coaching actual, like, rather than coaching boys individually and stuff like that, like going into a team and doing that side of coaching?
Do you know? No, it's a difficult one. See, when I was out in LA, I studied like the way they coach, and they used to have a coaching set, like the coaches all training that there. So I used to study it and see how they come up, and even in the first team, like they're a different way. They see the game differently. So I've tried to bring a more technical side to my coaching company. So I like seeing players develop and young kids coming through and develop, give them something that I never had, because when we were young, we didn't really have this. So we thought about it. We thought about starting a team, to be fair, a boys' club team to start with. And there's in talks we was trying to get linked up with a couple of clubs for feeder teams and stuff like that. So I don't think so, mate. I think I'd stick to around here. I like the development scene. I mean, I've got a girl who went to Rangers, a couple of boys, one went to Kelly and stuff. So it's good to see that. I kind of like that feeling and developing young kids in the new generation rather than, if that makes sense.
Yeah, brilliant. Just got time for a few fan questions as well. Tommy Griffin's asked quite a good question. This is to the three of you. If you and your teammates had to go on a I'm a Celebrity bush sticker trial event, who would be the madman that would breeze through all the trials, and who would be the first to wimp out? I'm answering Shankers after our watch along the other night. I'm going for Shankers as the first to wimp out.
Aye, definitely. No, see, I've always said, like Big Brother and all that, I'm a Celebrity is the one I would do the most, and it's probably just because you can lose a stone in 2 weeks.
I'll be in there as well.
No, I like watching I'm a Celebrity and that, so I would go for that. See somebody that would breeze through, or Stevie Wilson, because he's just a horrible guy, and he would. There's a
lot of calories in kangaroo balls, by the way.
Stevie Wilson would breeze through them. He wouldn't care. He doesn't really care about things like that. I'm trying to think who would be first to win. Oh, Jamie Glasgow. Oh, he would definitely win. Put it. He'd be like, see the woman Billy McKeith, where she get on to paint it and get stretched off. That would be him.
Brilliant. What about you, Cammy?
I'm trying to think, man. See, I'd probably be the first one, man. I'd love to. I always say I could do it, man. I could do it, but see, as soon as I see a spider or something, that's me. I don't
snakes.
Oh no, it's the spiders. Oh. I've been since I'm a wee girl was born. I've been better at getting spiders, but nah, man. I'd like to say I'd be good at it, but I'd be terrible, absolutely terrible. Breeze through it. Do you ever met Bunsey? Do you know Bunsey? No, the goalkeeper. No, Craig.
Oh, right.
Bunsey, no, the goalkeeper.
Is that him? Is he Philip Paisley or something? He's quite metal. I ken of him. I've heard he's an absolute crackpot.
honestly, mate, I've never. He's on a different planet. Oh mate, we won't talk about what he does, but he wouldn't care. He would just go for it. I think, man, he's mental.
Brilliant. Rory, this can be your whole career list, doesn't it? To be one specific club, your whole career. Who would be the first to win Put and who would blast it?
I certainly would be up there for one pin out, I have to say. Like, I'm the same as Cammy. I hate camping, never mind going to Australia to live in a bush. I would have to say probably myself. I hate all that type of stuff. I don't like the outdoors. I don't like camping, bugs, creepy crawlies. You know what it is? See, when it came to trials and the snakes and all, I think I'd be all right at that. It's more than living in a campfire outside with bugs and all that, try to sleep. I would hate it. But somebody that would power through would be, I touched on him last week with a story, Craig Curran. The snakes would be running away for him. He's bonkers, man. Honest to God, he's off his head. He would do that, not a problem. He's built like I'll not say what, he's into his workouts and his gym and all that. He'd be eating all the bugs for protein and loving life. He wouldn't bat an eyelid at any of that stuff. Some of the stuff I've seen him do, he wouldn't bat an eyelid. He would breeze through it, not a problem. But he'd probably get kicked out in the first week for terrorising everybody.
That's the thing. See, when Jimmy Bullard was in it and that, you could tell, see, because of the football background and dressing room environment and that, folk can take to him. I don't think it's because of the way he is with wind-ups and stuff like that.
Brilliant. With Brian McGarry, get in touch with a question for you, Cammy. Ask Cammy about jump starting his car.
That was my first season, right? So, like, my family moved back to LA, right? So I was left here myself. So my gran had a house in Dundee. So Brian used to always take me, take me to games. You know Big Hammy? You know Big Hammy, don't you?
Hey.
Aye, Shankland, you know Big Hammy, don't you?
Hammy?
Aye. No? Big Hammy? So. Do you know Hammy, no? Right, Big Hammy, he was... so here, him and Brian were in a car and they dropped me off my house and I went to turn my car on to drive home and it wouldn't start. So we're like, I always give it a push. I think it was Hammy anyway. So give it a push, and we started pushing it, and I ended up tripping, decking it face first, man. Like, man, way push this side, just deck the full thing, man. Oh, it was horrendous. And it was like, I was like a couple of weeks into the season. It was brutal. But I knew he'd say something like that.
Brilliant. Final question for Stephen Nicol. Ask him about his goal getting shown in Soccer AM.
Aye. That actually popped up yesterday. I was don't know what I was doing during it, to be fair, but it was nice. It was special to be on it, to be fair. Don't get me wrong, wasn't obviously the show, but it was on all over. So I took it well, but again, I don't know how I pulled it off, to be fair, because I'm not that type of player. I don't think.
Is that the one in the Scottish Cup?
Aye, one against East Kilbride.
East Kilbride, aye, I remember.
It just happened, to be fair. I don't know. I honestly can't even explain it if it was luck or what, but it just happened. I went in at the end of the day. I don't get it wrong. I've been getting stick for it saying the goalie had no hands and whatnot. all the boys, man, everyone. I was here like he had no hands on and all that. It was one of them ones. I'm just jealous. That's what it was. That's what I keep saying.
Brilliant. That'll wrap us up for this episode. I just want to thank Rory and Cameron for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having us on. It's been brilliant. Enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Enjoyed it.
Thanks again, Shankers. Pleasure as always.
Pleasure's mine.
Brilliant. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thanks very much. Cheers.